I had to re-upload the video, so thank you so much for watching this. If you watched it the first time, and if you didn't watch it the first time, don't worry about it. Okay, bye. November. I hardly know her. 2005. Interesting year for many people. Yeah, I was 3 years old at the time, so I was just chilling. There were also a lot of people who were born in 2005 and also unborn in 2005, which tends to happen, especially since Hurricane Katrina also happened that same year. Oh, and also Sharkboy and lavagirl, that came out. Sure, you guys don't have a home anymore, but the least you can do is spend your last $5 to go into theaters and watch Sharkboy and lavagirl in 3D. So this movie, this one right here, this was a fever dream. No pun intended.
You clearly intended that pun.
The cloud of nostalgia that looms over most kids' movies in the early 2000s, it was strong, very strong, especially with this one, because I don't remember this movie being as bad as it was. It was kind of bad. I mean, no, it was bad. I was gonna say, oh, it was the early 2000s. They didn't have good technology back then. I don't know about that. I think they could have done a little better. So let's start from the beginning, shall we? It is a very good place to start after all. The movie opens with a quote from lavagirl. Everything that is or was began with a dream. She sounds like Martin Luther King. What are you talking about? And then the movie really starts with Sharkboy's tragic backstory. His origin story should be concerning to anybody with eyeballs, a semi-functional brain, and an ounce of empathy, because why does this poor excuse of a father have his diaper-wearing son feeding great white sharks with no railings or supervision? Are you kidding me? You just have him standing at the edge of the boat, literally one wrong step and he's in the water, and you're just allowing him to just feed the sharks on his own. Don't get me started with the names of said sharks, because Sharkboy, he named the sharks that he was feeding. The names are terrible.
Good Milk, Piggy, Egg Battle, and Kraken.
I don't care that Sharkboy was barely 5 years old when he was naming these sharks. I would take a bite out of his little leg if I were one of those sharks and I was named Good Milk. Good Milk? What does that even mean? What are these names? They don't even make sense. Oh, by the way, his father studies sharks and has this young son living with him on this laboratory that's on a boat in the middle of the ocean. So that's... I forgot to explain that because I was too distracted by the millions of concerns that ripped through my brain while watching this movie, just like this tornado ripped through the lab. Now Sharkboy is fatherless and probably gonna die since he's in the middle of the ocean with no food or drinkable water.
Father of the Year.
Shut up! Listen, buddy, if that CGI tornado wasn't taking you away from your family, it was gonna be CPS. Consider yourself lucky. At least you still kind of have a fighting chance to see your father again. The only good thing that his father did do for his son was allow Sharkboy to bond with the sharks, because those same sharks that he was feeding with the horrible names, they were the ones that saved him. Also, the sharks can talk.
It's Sharkboy. Don't take a bite out of him, boys. He's a friend.
Magic sharks, sure, why not? Sharkboy was then raised Tarzan style by learning the ways of the magic shark. They have this fish are friends not food kind of mentality, but you know, for the most part, they're pretty chill. Over time, Sharkboy actually ends up developing shark-like features, if you will, because of course he does. The water must be contaminated with the same toxic waste that the Ninja Turtles fell in, because I'm pretty sure you don't develop fins and gills simply by swimming around in shark dookie all day. But hey, I'm not a scientist. What do I know? I mean, there is like another explanation for this, and that would be that his dad impregnated a shark. At this point, I wouldn't really put it past the guy. He clearly has issues. All this backstory finally leads up to Max, our main character, meeting Sharkboy for the first time while fishing one day. Instead of doing the rational thing, like, oh, I don't know, calling the police because a weird urchin child was abandoned in the ocean and is just swimming around, Max decides to sneak the weird urchin child into his home. This James Bond level mission would have been more difficult if Max's parents weren't too busy reenacting that one Kendrick Lamar song.
Nah, fuck you, bitch! Fuck you, nigga!
This is when Sharkboy explains to Max about how he's traveling the universe to find his dad, which seems a bit excessive because really, how far did your dad go? I mean, I get it was a CGI tornado, but I mean, like, he could have only gone so far. At least he's dedicated. I kind of commend his effort. So now Sharkboy, he's kind of just hanging out on planet Drool, which, yes, that sounds kind of disgusting, but whatever. The logic is that the planet is so cool that it makes you drool. Okay, whatever, man. I just work here. Let's take a second to marvel at Max's handwriting, because damn. Cursive? Oh my god, he's writing like he's goddamn Shakespeare. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day and shit? Dude, this guy's kind of cool. I like you, Max, for now. This is also when we get to meet lavagirl for the first time, except Max describes her as
an amazing girl with purple flames for hair.
Purple flames for hair.
Purple flames for
purple. On top of a psych eval, we may need to get this boy tested for color blindness because lavagirl's hot pink. Don't tell me that this is one of those Bonnie from Five Nights at Freddy's situation, because Bonnie, he is a blue bunny and lavagirl is a pink lady, not to be mistaken by these pink ladies or these pink ladies. Or Princess Carolyn.
I don't have time for you. Or cardboard you.
lavagirl miraculously broke into Max's home without setting the wooden house on fire because she needs to bring Sharkboy back to planet Drool for some reason. I don't know, they got things to do, I suppose. And you know, she extended the invitation to Max. She wasn't being rude, but Max, the dweeb that he is, has the lame excuse known to man.
I told her, I have school tomorrow. She gave me a sad look and flamed away.
So that was the end of the whole origin sequence, and apparently Max was telling this story in front of his whole class as a, you know, what I did this summer type of story. He has more guts than me, because I would never pull something like that out of my ass for an icebreaker. Usually I just give people generic information about me and move on with my day. Despite Max's unique story, children are groomed at this age to never show a unique bone in their body, and so they shame people for being different. Get used to the paper ball throwing, by the way, because they do that a lot. Seems to be the main choice of weapon in this school, as well as just all schools that take place in the early 2000s. I don't know if you noticed this, but it's always paper balls that are spitballs and wedgies and swirlies.
Someone is picking that up, and it's not gonna be me.
Honesty hour. I have said variations of this phrase a lot in my life, and it took me rewatching this movie to realize that I've been ripping off George Lopez this whole time. I'm so sorry, George. I need to give you royalties. So all the kids in the class were clowning the hell out of Max for pulling up to the function with the rough draft for his upcoming fantasy novel instead of a legit story about what he did this summer, which was nothing, by the way. I mean, if we really dissected what Max was saying, Max essentially said that he kind of did nothing the whole summer, because technically all Max did was go fishing and invite strangers into his home. You know what? Who's really keeping track, right? It's not like somebody's making a whole YouTube video about it or anything. What? That's crazy. Despite the sea of negativity that's going on in this classroom, there was one person that believed every word that he said, and it was this girl named Marissa.
Does lavagirl have special powers?
There's no such thing as lavagirl.
And yes, she is that one girl from Pretty Little Liars. Don't ask me anything about that show. I've never seen it. Despite her being Max's only supporter in the class, there was also somebody who was also just really blatantly negative the whole time, like clearly the leader of the hate brigade. His name is Linus. Unfortunate name aside, Linus then tells the class what he did this summer.
This summer, I met a new friend who was half dork, half boy. I called him Dork Boy. But his real name was Max. We had him for dinner, but he stunk so bad that we all blew chunks.
This class is worse than the Elon Musk fanboys. There was nothing funny about that story, but then again, I suppose humor is subjective. It also makes more sense when you realize that they're all in 4th grade, which would then make these kids no more than 10 years old, assuming that they're in America. I don't know how you Canadians do it or how anyone else does it. George Lopez, aka Mr. Electricidad, that's his name in the movie, encourages Max to stop dreaming and hang out with real sentient beings in reality. Hello. It's me. I'm in reality. Or am I? I don't know, you only see me through a screen. Basically, George Lopez calls Max a loser because he has no friends. When he asks what Max's journal is, Max kind of has like this weird answer to the question. It was kind of off-putting, actually.
It's my dream journal. It has all my most precious dreams in it. And I'll never part with it for as long as I live.
The way he was talking about that journal made me think that he was carrying a signed copy of the Bible or his manifesto. I'm not going to harp on this next scene for too long because who the hell even cares? But Linus and his Gooner squad jump Max at the end of the day because Linus is really triggered by Max and his dream journal for some reason that will kind of get explained later, but don't hold your breath, really. You're not gonna like the answer. After a Scooby-Doo level chase through the playground, Max climbs the spider net. I don't know what you would call this, but he dropped the notebook in Linus's lap. Well, not literally, but like he dropped the notebook. And so Linus got to it. Gunner Squad 1, Max 0. Should have put boogers in the book or something, man. Maybe fart in the pages, make it a little less appealing. I don't know. I'm just throwing out some options here, dude, for security purposes. I'm trying to help you out. So that night, Max hears movement from downstairs and finds some half-eaten milk and cookies on the kitchen counter. Some of the cookies have shark bites on them and others were burnt to a crisp. Gee, I wonder who could have been responsible for that.
When you go to sleep and close your eyes, they may come back. When you open them again, Shark Girl and Lava Boy will be out of here.
Oh my god, congrats on your transition, guys. So Max goes to bed and then he also like tries to blow up his house with a loaded power strip. The main focus here is that he's going to bed.
Please don't let me have to go to school. They'll make fun of me, I know it. I wish I could just escape this loser world and go to Planet Drool. Games and toys and laughs and fun.
Now we know where Debbie Ryan learned her smirk from. Jesus, what was that? It's kind of creepy. Anyway, so Max fails at manifesting bad weather so he can stay home, which is a ridiculous plan to begin with, because why would you leave your fate up to the weather? If you really want to not go to school, you gotta fake an illness. That is the best way to do it. In 3rd grade, I faked being sick. Mom, can you hear me? In the 3rd grade, I faked being sick, only to find out that I actually did have strep throat. I mean, I was like a little sick, but I think I was like over exaggerating the sickness because I didn't want to go to school, just to find out that I had strep throat. You're welcome, society. All right, if you want me to quarantine myself, I will do that immediately. And I must have manifested the hell out of that strep throat because I ended up having to stay home an extra day to recover. 2 days off of school. I'm just that good. What can I say? Max is all bummed out because his natural disaster didn't happen. His mom was not making it any better by alluding to a potential divorce.
Well, I do have a dream about us, but as I'm sure you've been noticing lately, your father and I are just, well, we're not compatible.
By the way, his mom was walking him to school, but guess what? The school is right across the street, which means, if you're following along at home, that Max could have ran home during that Looney Tunes ass chase scene, but he didn't. It was like he was asking to get caught. This makes no sense. This movie makes no sense. Also, more paper balls, because why not? Something just shifted in the air. Oh my god, I feel something iconic in our midst. Oh my god, it's happening. I can't stop it. Brace yourself.
He ruined my dream journal! I did not! Mr. Electric, send him to the principal's office and have him expelled!
They were really trying to secure that Oscar nomination with this scene alone. Rent was due. Oh, and another tornado appears because that seems to be the natural disaster of choice in this movie. I don't know, I guess they just never did any tornado drills in this school because George Lopez, he wasn't even attempting to try to get those kids in the hallway on their knees, hands on their heads, you know what I'm saying, butts out in the air. This is like universal protocol, people. Why are we losing recipes? That's what you're supposed to do. Everybody knows that's what you're supposed to do. Oh my god, useless. All of you. I get teachers, they have a lot on their plate. They're not even being paid enough to be there, let alone care about the safety of your kids, but like, at least pretend to care. Next thing you know, they're gonna say that they'd never heard of stop, drop, and roll. Like, what is going on in this school? So yes, a random tornado apparates out of thin air, and you know who also apparates out of thin air? Sharkboy and lavagirl. They're just here in the classroom, in the flesh, and apparently they're there because they need Max. Mr. George, he was ready to sell Max out in a heartbeat.
Come with us.
You better go with him.
The main issue that nobody seems to be comprehending is that Max can dream things into reality. Guys, everyone stop screaming for a second. Stop screaming and crapping your pants. Listen to the bigger picture. Max can dream things into reality. In fact, I've taken it upon myself to make a list of demands that I will be inserting into Max's brain via subliminal messages. Number 1, let me switch bank accounts with the Kardashian of his choosing. I don't care which one. It could even be one of the kids. It could be the dog. And then number 2, make peak mango season year round. Peak mango season is between May and September. Make it year round. That's really all I got on the list. So the Three Stooges hitch a ride on Sharkboy's rocket ship because of course he has his own rocket ship. Sharkit ship. There we go. Apparently they're supposed to go to Planet Drool because something's wrong with Planet Drool, and so they gotta go help out Planet Drool. So when they land on Planet Drool, they land in like this Freddy Fazgoo or something. I don't know. But can we take just a couple seconds to appreciate the special effects in this movie? The physics and consistency of the dung that they landed in. It makes this all more ominous, because what even is that? Unrelated tangent. I've been using the word dung a lot because I've been reading this book that mentions that word like probably 3 or 4 times a chapter, and there's a lot of chapters. 3 or 4 times a chapter I'm reading about dung. The Reddening, that's the book's name. If anybody cares, I will say this. Reading, it could make you smarter, but honestly, I don't think it makes you smarter. I think it just helps you find creative ways to talk about animal feces. Why are we talking about sheep manure right now, when Max allegedly has superpowers on planet Drool?
I thought he would just remember. Remember what? Your dreams. This planet? Us. Your powers. I have powers?
I don't know how old Max is, but I really don't think that he's old enough to experience the early stages of dementia. What do you mean you don't remember anything? Your faith is all in this guy. The guy who doesn't remember anything. The guy who has Alzheimer's. Good luck. So apparently he forgot all these things because he didn't have his dream journal for one night. You know how people have like the little stuffed animal that they sleep with? That way they could sleep better at night. Well, because he wasn't tucked in with his dream journal, he couldn't remember anything. Apparently, despite him writing it down in the dream journal. Does he not do some revision with the dream journal? Does he not read it? He just writes it down and then he just forgets about it? That's useless. So because he decides not to commit all his dreams to memory, and he was away from his precious dream journal for not even 24 hours, now the whole world is imploding and they have 45 minutes to put it together before the whole planet goes kaplooey.
The dream layer is on the other side of the planet. That's where your dreams are going bad.
My only issue with this dire situation that they're in is that there are a bunch of kids that live on planet Drool, and we have no idea who the hell these kids are. Seriously, where do they come from? Where do they go? Where do they come from, Cotton Eye Joe? I get that this planet functions off of the Kids Bop mantra, by kids, for kids, but this is very irresponsible. Did you at least provide housing for said kids, or do they live in this off-brand Six Flags?
Everything that is, or was, began with a dream.
Hey, she said the thing! So Max is having a really hard time grasping onto what the hell is going on, and I really can't blame him for that, because imagine 2 children in Party City costumes kidnapping you because you're the key to saving Planet Fitness. I would voluntarily walk into Alcatraz myself, like, please, lock me up and throw away the key.
Max is a good boy. Otherwise, you and I would be evil, and we're not evil. I'm not evil, am I, Max? I don't think so. I love how confident Max is about everything that he does. I'm sure Planet Fart will be just fine. So the electrician of Planet Drool, Mr. Electric, is doing evil deeds because of a headless entity that totally doesn't sound like Linus with a voice modulator.
I was awakened.
You're probably wondering why this Phantom of the Opera wannabe is destroying Planet Drool. Yeah, I'm also wondering the same thing. We don't really know what his damage is until later.
Shouldn't we save those kids first?
Wow, this is who y'all stand? They said fuck them kids, for real. I'm kidding. They do end up saving the kids. But like for a solid 5 seconds there, I'm gonna be honest, I thought they weren't gonna save the kids. They really didn't seem like they were too terribly eager to do such a thing. We also find out that Max is a daydreamer, which is a big problem for the bad guys because their whole plan is to permit anyone from falling asleep, because falling asleep means that they dream, and dreams are not good for them. Don't ask me, I don't know. This whole operation is actually torture. Good thing that this is a children's movie, otherwise this could have gotten really ugly really fast. I'm not telling this story in the order of the events in which the movie shows them, but the trio manages to get sent to the dream graveyard, and apparently the only way out is to dream. I want to be honest, I don't really understand the plan, but I kind of get the gist. So Max gotta fall asleep. And he has to do what he has to do. Okay, cool. No, I'm gonna be so honest with you. At this point in the movie, I wrote in my notes verbatim, Lavagirl is having an identity crisis and Sharkboy wants to kill Max. This is such a dysfunctional group.
I really thought you were the answer, Max. Don't listen to him. He's just upset because you didn't show up and make him king of the ocean with a giant fish army to back him up.
Look who's talking. You thought you'd find a great use for your powers and heal the planet. Max thought his dream world would be a happy place.
We've all been duped.
Because honestly, I have not been talking about the personalities of Sharkboy and lavagirl, but that's because they don't really have any. Sharkboy's just angry, and then lavagirl, due to the identity crisis, she just can't help but make everything about her all the time because Max has the key to who she is and her identity and her purpose in life, and Max not remembering anything doesn't really help her cause. And then Sharkboy, he's just mad because he doesn't know where his daddy is. He's just taking that out on everybody. These kids are just all angst and no upsides. It's honestly a miracle that they've made it this far without killing each other. Speaking of dead things,
It's Tobor! Who? Tobor! I dreamt him up when I was a kid. A robot that could help me with my homework.
Tobor, spelled backwards, is robot. I really would say that this is endearing, but we have bigger issues to deal with because now they have to go to the land of milk and cookies to help Max get more pleasant dreams because it's more comfortable over there. And I guess he likes milk and cookies because Max is secretly Santa Claus, I guess. I don't know. So in order to get to the land of milk and cookies, they have to hitch a ride on the train of thought, which is cute for 5 seconds because the train goes haywire. Like, they're leaping off of this train like it's the Fortnite battle bus. It's getting gutter out here. This election season may have been awful. Worst one yet, really one for the books, but at least the new Fortnite season is looking promising. They jump from the train and they finally make it to the land of whatever, and who cares. The place, it seems tranquil, with the exception of the cookie giants that are trying to eat them. The little people running around on the cookies, did they think those were raisins or something? I don't know. If I see things crawling around on my food as I'm about to pick up and eat it, I would put that down immediately, but I guess that logic just doesn't apply to any other sentient beings in the universe. And the cookie giants are clearly Max's parents, but I guess Max is still a little out of it from having to jump from the battle bus because he only vaguely sees the resemblance.
Those giants almost look like my parents. They seem happy together. Is that your dream? We had a dream of family. It hasn't been coming true lately.
Okay, this just got really dark. Who greenlit this script? I'm not going to linger on this for too long, but it would be a crime not to include this in the video.
Just stand back.
That was beyond foul. Have some decorum. He did not need to do that. So Max tries to sleep and lavagirl is doing a piss poor job at getting him unconscious. So Sharkboy, he takes over and we get the iconic song.
Close your eyes, shut your mouth, dream a dream and get us out. Dream, 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 dream. Hit the hay, fast asleep. Dream a dream, you little bleep. Dream, 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 dream.
I feel so bad for lavagirl because she needs reassurance more than anything, which is kind of hindering the mission.
Dream about me next, Max. I need to know who I am. Not just destruction or a simple flame. Dream of me as something good.
Like she needs to lock in and stop brooding because Mr. Electric is right around the corner. So they escape Mr. Electric on this banana split boat thingy. When Max was attempting to dream back on the land of diabetes and cavities, he kept getting glimpses of the future, which is a whole other thing that they just don't ever fully address. I get that he's a daydreamer and like that's kind of his thing, but seeing glimpses into the future, I don't know if that's possible. Oh, maybe when you go to bed at night and you have those little scenarios in your head, because everybody does that. I thought this was a unique experience. I didn't know everybody did that. Be for real. You know how when you're going to sleep at night, you're thinking about things, you're playing those little scenarios in your head, and then suddenly the scenario, it fast forwards, it jumps to the good part too soon, but you're trying to do like a slow burn thing in your head. Maybe that's what it is. You're skipping ahead a little bit. That's my guess. That is my hypothesis. Not that they ever really fully explain that, but that's my explanation in order to make this make more sense. So he learns in his future glimpses that he needs this thing called a crystal heart, and apparently this crystal heart can freeze time, which only seems like a temporary solution to the issue here. I'm not really in a position to judge. I suppose having a loose plan is better than not having a plan at all. So the crystal heart is located in the Ice Kingdom with Simon and Gunther, I presume. They never really made a cameo in the movie. Though then again, technically this movie came out 5 years before Adventure Time did, so maybe that was just wishful thinking on my end. The nukes are here. But before the three could actually get into the Ice Kingdom, they were captured by the big bad villain guy along with Mr. Electric. Guess who the big bad guy was this whole time? Take a guess. You would never be able to guess it. It truly is really a mystery who it is. It's Linus.
I
I'm Minus.
Oh, I'm sorry. His name is Minus. Very creative and totally wasn't used at the beginning of the movie.
Minus! I mean Linus. You get a minus for misconduct.
Name aside, they have Minus dressed in the dorkiest costume I've ever seen, and nobody seems to have any issue with it. Like, the kid looks like a bottom tier Gotham villain. These are easy, low-hanging fruit insults, people. I get that it's an easy punching bag, but you should still take the opportunity. Don't let his unfortunate fashion decisions distract you from the real reason why he has decided to take over Planet Drool, which is still a mystery because I don't really know why he's doing this still. I think he's just a hater. We all know what his favorite song off of Chromacopia was. Minus put him in a cage, and then they ended up escaping from that cage because Sharkboy crashed out and started biting through the bars. I guess he heard the phrase gnawing at the bars of my enclosure and took that to heart. Minus also has what's his face's dream journal. Max, that's his name. Sorry, dude. Momentarily slipped up. Anyway, Linus has his dream journal, so he takes it back, and they leave. Cool. Seems like that should be the end of it, but it really isn't. Now that they have the dream journal back, Sharkboy can heal his daddy issues, and lavagirl can find a purpose in life. Or at least the latter half of that statement would be true if lavagirl didn't accidentally incinerate the dream journal. But look on the bright side. You would have been a wonderful asset in the burning of the Library of Alexandria. With 10 minutes left on the clock, Max finally decides to lock in and tell his two monsters of Frankenstein that he needs to get the crystal heart.
10 minutes left. We'll never make it. We can do it. How? You're Sharkboy and lavagirl. You can do anything.
I am almost positive that this exact scene played on loop during the Disney Channel commercial breaks because I physically recoiled when this scene played out.
We can do it. How? You're Sharkboy and lavagirl. You can do anything.
The Adventures of Sharkboy and Lavagirl. Tonight at 9/8 Central on Disney Channel.
I don't know what it's like to be a sleeper agent, but I think I have an idea now because something awakened inside of me. It was actually kind of triggering. So they reach the ice castle, and Max has a hunch that you aren't supposed to touch the crystal with your bare hands, which is all fine and dandy. Sharkboy can use his claws. Sharkboy attempts to get the crystal heart, but fails. So Max attempts to get the crystal heart and then drops it. So then lavagirl catches it, but...
I got it!
Good work, team. So the Ice Princess finally appears, and she's the girl that Max likes. Marissa? Yeah, it's her. Hi, girl. Definitely didn't see that coming. The Ice Princess can't leave the castle because she just can't. I don't know. She has a curfew, but unfortunately she also cannot just lend out the crystal like it's a library book. So I guess Max has no choice. Max, put on your tux, babe. You gotta get married.
Do you, Max, take this crystal heart to have and to hold in sickness and in health, till death do you part?
I do. I do.
The crystal will now work.
Child Brides in the year 2005, sick and twisted. You know what else is sick and twisted? The fact that they use a frozen lava girl as a makeshift vehicle to get out of the Ice Kingdom. We have to address the role of women in this movie because there are only 3 prominent women in this whole movie and they're all being used like dish rags. And on top of that, the crystal didn't even work. And Mr. Electricity is back. The guy, he has nothing better to do, I guess. So yeah, Sharkboy then almost dies. So Lava Girl saves him. She had to jump into the water, but then she almost dies because lava and water do not mix. Now everyone's dead. No, they're not dead, but they might as well be. At this point in the movie, it gets really bleak. You know, Max is still useless. His only 2 friends are in a conga line with the Grim Reaper. The crystal can only be used by the Ice Princess, so that was a waste of a trip. And now Tobor has decided to bless us with his presence, and the only thing he decided to bring with him is 0-calorie advice.
What do you do when your dreams have been destroyed?
Dream a better dream. An unselfish dream.
Thank you, Iron Giant. You have been as helpful as I thought you would be, which was not at all. Sharkboy wakes up, sees that Lava Girl is like totally out of it, and so he runs over to the volcano and kind of just chucks her in right as the volcano was about to go full Pompeii. I don't know, man. This movie is weird. Oh, this movie is so dramatic sometimes, I swear. And that's coming from me. Me! Max, during this whole stressful situation, Max comes to the realization that Lava Girl, she isn't evil.
You are light.
Not gonna lie, this was kind of cute. It was a little bit cute. It was a little cute. You would have to not have a heart. You would have to be a soulless monster to not think that. Dial that back a bit. Jesus.
Who turned on the lights?
So this near-death experience has awakened Max's powers, and so now he can run super fast like he's Kid Flash and unfreeze oceans with a snap of his fingers. Literally. Now that all of his powers are unlocked, Max can fight Minus in a dream off. I'm gonna be honest, this fight was kind of lame and full of brain-related attacks.
Brainstorm. Brain. Freeze. Brain. Fart.
Oh, but if I were in Max's shoes and I said brain tumor or brain aneurysm, then I would be the bad guy. You guys are not being very creative here. You could do some serious damage if you wanted to, and they were holding back the whole time. And then now finally, after all this back and forth, we learn why Minus is doing all of this. Because he got his feelings hurt. They don't even explain it, really. But apparently, you know, his feelings got hurt, and so he took it out on other people. The kid's just miserable. It was extremely anticlimactic, but don't worry, they worked it out in the remix, so it's all good.
Don't smash people's dreams, Linus, because you'll smash your own as well. And you too will stop believing.
Now that Minus regrets the errors of his ways, he decides to stop throwing a hissy fit and give Planet Drool back to Max. Which, you know, this would all be fine and dandy if Mr. Electric didn't object to this.
Mr. Electric can go back to being the good electrician of the planet.
Oh, really? Plugging in power cords? Keeping this loud, obnoxious world a happy place? You're dreaming.
Yeah, like I said before, Mr. Electric, he is the planet's electrician, and he's doing all of the work that the kids don't really want to do. Not only that, but he's the only one there, doing everything, operating an entire planet. So instead of quiet quitting like the rest of us are doing, he decides to go to the real world to, how do I say this delicately? To fuck some shit up. So back on Earth, Max, he wakes up because he was sleeping this whole time. Mr. Electric, he appears in the real world. He kind of just like comes out of the tornado. Do they have any other way to transport or teleport to places? There has to be like a less destructive way to come to Earth. Mr. Electric appears and he kind of just stands there. I mean, sure, he electrocutes a couple kids in the butt, but like other than that, he's not really doing a lot. Honestly though, when Mr. Electric comes to the real world, the teacher character he sees Mr. Electric, oh my god, honestly, easily the best line in the whole movie.
It's right there in front of you!
I can see that. What I can't believe is they drew me as a big brown bad guy. I'm not bad.
Get your lick back, George Lopez. You are a national treasure that should be protected at all costs, not bastardized. Get that white boy from me again. Meanwhile, on the other side of the street, Max's parents decided that they were just built different, so they thought they could rescue their son from the tornado. Yeah, they almost died while attempting this little rescue mission. Silver lining, this near-death experience has helped them fall in love again. This is like that scene from Psyche K, the misattribution of arousal.
They're taking the bait. Look,
There's no way this gets in girls.
did you ever hear of this one theory? Misattribution of arousal. It's when you mistake your feelings of fear for love.
His grades are terrible, but suddenly he's an expert on
With the
psychology.
occult club, I can finally put this theory to the test.
Meanwhile, back at the school, Max decides to give the Crystal Heart a second chance because all of his loser classmates can't put a dent in this guy. Instead of trying to use the Crystal Heart for himself, he gives it to Marissa because she's the ice princess. Yeah, she does what she needs to do, kind of freezes the guy to death and then he explodes, and then all of his classmates play in the snow that is most definitely mixed with motor oil. That's pretty much the movie. What to say about Sharkboy and lavagirl as a movie? It's honestly one of my favorite movies growing up. I haven't watched this movie in years, so being able to revisit it and talk about it has been super fun. It was absurd enough to hook me in when I was a kid, and I was naive enough to accept everything at face value. This movie was a mess. I mean, did any of it make any sense? No, not really. Does the motivation of the villains feel a bit flimsy? For Minus, yes. For Mr. Electric, no, not at all. I am 100% on his side, actually. They treated him like a slave, and then they acted shocked that he retaliated. Maybe instead of focusing on satisfying the kids, pause, we should focus on having a safe work environment with more employees and like health benefits and stuff. And I don't know, maybe you should actually pay the guy. Just a suggestion though. There's a reason why companies don't really like it when their employees unionize. It's just a headache for everybody involved. Anyway, shout out to Taylor Lautner for once again playing a character that isn't quite human and has a lot of unchecked issues. Yeah, I really love consistency. That's all I have for you. If you like the video, give it a like, subscribe, do whatever you want. I don't really care. All of my social media will be linked down in the description. I have a book club on Fable. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. Please join my book club. Our November book is A Short Stay in Hell by Stephen L. Peck. I was gonna say something about the election because I wrote the script before election day, so now that's mute. I mean, it's a little late to say go vote in the upcoming election, but I will say vote in the primaries, vote in your local elections. Thank you so much. I will see you whenever. I don't know. Okay, bye.
Close your eyes, shut your mouth, dream a dream and get us out. Dream, 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 dream. Hit the hay, fast asleep, dream a dream, you little bleep. Dream, 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 dream.